Hello everyone, mrskinny here, and I'm once again broadcasting a Android Netrunner commentary. This one's from first-person perspective. I did just play this, and I thought it had some really interesting lessons for beginner players. I won't let you guess which one of us is actually the beginner player. You can watch, but wow, I love the ending, and I think it teaches us a lot for the wrong reasons. I don't know. You'll have to sit through and wait. But so let's kick this off. So what we're playing here today is I am the Anarch runner, and I'm going up against the original Jinteki ID, where anytime an agenda is scored or stolen, you take net damage. The runner takes net damage. So I am playing Sietlas, who very kindly said I can go ahead and cast this. So thank you very much to him. And so we're about to get underway, and I chose to keep these cards, and I guess I'll try to tell you what I was thinking during my process here. Not sure if that really helps anyone, but I will do it. So I like these cards. A whole bunch of viruses up front. No money making, which I don't know if that's a big concern. I have seen Anarch played where really you don't need a lot of money with them. They have all these low-cost viruses. A lot of what they do is not about breaking ice so much. So I love that Grimoire was in my hand at the very beginning. That's such an important console. It strengthens the power of every single virus you put out. So, and then I also had Wildside, which is great to get early as well. Wildside lets you draw 2 cards by mandatorily forfeiting a click at the beginning of the turn. So it sort of makes you like the Corp, except you're getting 2 cards when he's only getting 1 card. So I just really like the starting hand, so I chose to keep it. Jinteki went ahead and iced up his 2 servers, pretty standard play, and he played a hedge fund, so he's actually got some good early money. So I pop out my wild side, and then I just took another couple of credits, or 3 credits, because I figure I'm gonna be running out of clicks. I don't have any other money coming in, so let's get some money, so I'll at least be able to like throw out these cards. Obviously, wild side can really bury you in cards in it, and it gives you such a tough choice to make around constantly discarding things you want to be able to use, but it's going to be inevitable that you're going to have to discard cards when Wildside comes out, especially when what you're really waiting for is the pawn shop. And actually, I wanted to tell you about this deck. It's up on Card Game DB. I think it's the most viewed Anarch deck, and it was the Edinburgh Champions of 2012. His deck that won the tournament. Now this was really early in the game, and I think the only expansion out was Trace Amount, I believe, which is the first expansion. So I was kind of curious. I wanted to see, Study and Static's been out a while. Pretty much everyone playing on OCTGN seems to be playing with newer decks. So I just want to see, how does an older deck do? Anarch are pretty strong from the get-go. Imp as well, which is one of the cards I'm holding, was the Trace Amount card. I think that really made Anarch's incredibly strong versus probably all the corps, just early on, and it was the corps that really needed buffing from the later expansions. So, I just wanted to see. I've had a lot of success with this deck, and it's sort of, and it's not a deck that you feel like, it's playing itself. I mean, there are a lot of hard decisions to make nearly every turn. Because there's just so many avenues for you to go. Do you just keep putting pressure on using something like medium to put pressure on R&D? Are you really going for heavy milling? All that sort of thing. So we'll see. So he was having a little trouble there creating a remote server, the hotkeys. I actually play RTSs, and so hotkeys are very important. So I try to really hotkey up the game when I'm playing. Although you'll see, actually, I have a really lame keyboard with function keys that are tiny. So I'm actually not using the F12 very often, because I kind of end up hitting next to it, and then that can do all sorts of crazy things. So anyway, really fascinating about my UI choices. But what I appear to have done was I just put my Grimoire out and then took a couple more credits, and you can see I drew into yet more. I drew into a Djinn, and then even more viruses. The Djinn, it feels like you really want to get that out early as well, mainly because he saves you memory, and then you can pick up any viruses you want. But I've got 4 viruses in my hand, so and not a lot of money or ways to make money, and I've got 2 cards coming in every turn. So it was really hard for me to you know, I figured that Jin was a bit too expensive for you know, what I have right now, and you know, there's 3 Jins in the deck, so if I lose this Jin now and I just play out the viruses I've got, I felt like that was the right decision. So you'll see that coming up. The Corp is putting out a new server unprotected from the one that he actually put ice on, and actually forgot to end his turn. So I just prompted him there. So and he smartly iced up his archives before I'd even put any viruses out, because obviously it's going to happen, so you know, you should do it early. So my first opportunity to make money, it's liberated accounts, and this is actually something that I do think this deck needs some updating, and I think I'd meant to tweak it. For one thing, it has no personal workshop, which I think is almost a critical component of the Anarch deck now. If you're planning to, I mean, to be able to, for instance, put parasites out mid-run after an ice has been rezzed, I mean, it's such an important, or just such a powerful ability to just neglect by simply not having put in new cards into your deck. So that's definitely a disadvantage. And then obviously liberated accounts, which I think is a better card, a moneymaker card for richer runners, I feel like. I mean, to have to get up to 6 to start using it. I mean, it might not be true. I mean, if you get yourself to 6, then of course it does influx money pretty quickly. It's tough to have when you've got a wild side out, because you've got less clicks per turn. So I don't know, but so I went ahead and you know, I just face planted into R&D. I figured I've got a lot of cards. I mean, I'll take net damage or I'll take a tag. So either way, I can get out of it. So I went into R&D, hit a very little wall, and then threw the parasite onto it and killed it immediately. So that gave me a free run into R&D. So I was definitely sorry, just make sure I'm still streaming. Wouldn't that be horrible? Like, spend 30 minutes to you know, just sitting here talking to myself and then find out it hadn't been recorded. There's not a lot of indication it's recording other than this flickering cursor here next to this other cursor. See, yeah. Anyway, so I go ahead and I'm in R&D. So get to look at the top card on my last click here. Obviously, I could hit a snare, which is bad, but it's always worth trying. There you go. I get my first agenda, the Nissi MK2, and I have to take a net damage. And it knocks out my liberated accounts. So much for having to decide whether or not I'm going to try to get that out. I've now lost my money. Opportunity once again. So, and then you can see I start to whine, even though I've just scored 2 points. But what are you going to do? So, it goes back to Sietlas here, who now has an exposed R&D. He's not worrying about money, though. He's up to 10 credits. And so you can see I drew another wild side, which is you know, an easy card to discard. Doubt I'm going to ever need another one. Duplicates are really just because you need to saturate your deck so you actually see them earlier and they're not just the only card stuck at the bottom of the deck. These little downtimes where not a lot's happening, certainly where I will be saying completely extraneous stuff. Superfluous. Maybe both work. I don't know. All right, so we've got a iced up R&D again for his first click, and then a couple more credits coming in, and back to me. So I mandatory draw up into my 2 cards. I see yet another imp. Love the imp so much. And then another data sucker as well. So many viruses, which I really want to get out. I've only got 2 credits and only 3 clicks now. So I decided to make a run on R&D. If I can think back onto why I wanted to do that. I guess I knew I had another parasite, so maybe I'd try the next thing. I obviously want to start draining some of the corpse credits. It's horrible when they're just sort of sitting on so much they can do anything they want. Draw out this arrow here to show them what I'm doing. It's actually something I should probably consider doing in all my casts. I guess any of the ones that I'm actually playing, because you know, it's a really good visual indicator for you guys what's going on instead of having to read the scroll. But so he has a Draco, and so he's deciding now how much he's going to put on it to increase its strength. There's not anything I can actually do about it, but he obviously knows that, you know, parasites could knock it out, so he's going to want to protect it some amount. So I'm just waiting for him to decide on that. And he does play relatively fast. He actually plays, I mean, he's a very thoughtful player, it comes across as, and he seems pretty sharp in what he was doing all game. So you know, I don't think it's a particularly slow player here. So yeah, so I go ahead and say trace. I mean, there's nothing I can do. And it's a trace 2, and then it gives me a tag and it ends the run. I have clicks left, and I have 2 credits, so I'm going to be able to remove that tag no matter what. You know, obviously I'd love to be able to get through and not have to end the run, but nothing I'm going to be able to do about that. He makes it 3 credits, which is 1 higher than anything I could have done. So I spend my 2 to remove the tag, and with my last click, that becomes a big question. I have no money. So there's pretty much nothing I can do, and you can see I'm actually checking my cards. Do I have any free cards? No, I don't. So the only thing I can do is take a click. So I decide, take a credit rather. So I took a credit, and then I discard my wild card, and I dump the Jin. I have 5 viruses in my hand. It seems like that Jin is not that sexy right now. Other than saving me memory costs, but, you know, parasites don't last that long, so they're not taking up too much memory. And I'm hoping that I'll see a pawn shop soon, and imps are very short-lived programs too, so yeah, the Jin seems like the one to get rid of. So we're back to the corp. He's, you know, he's drained himself a little. He's down to 7 credits, still not in any way poor. And so we'll just see what he's deciding to do here. I don't know if it's a boring spoiler, but again, if you're like, oh, you know, how long is the game going to be? It's not too long a game, so aside from a few moments of thought, there's definitely there's you know, it's worth staying through to the end. And you can listen to this awesome music. This is songs inspired by or of Portal. I don't know. I use Rhapsody, and it's something like Songs of Portal 2 or something, which is quite it seemed quite appropriate. Although I guess Portal 2, I don't know if you guys have played it. It's excellent game. I think it's really cheap now. It's like $15 on Steam, and just a great puzzle game. Amazing character in the essentially the evil AI that is trying to thwart you. And so, you know, I think it's tangentially related, even if there is no actual sort of cyberspacey thing in it. All right. So what did I miss? I'm just looking up into the sky while I'm talking here. So, I think he just took credits. Yeah. So, just up from 7 to 10. So, back to me. So, I go ahead and try to parasite his 1-res dice and realize I don't have the money to do it. So, he'll never know that I did that unless he watches this cast. So, everyone else gets to see that I tried to do it without having the money. So, then I parasite up the Draco. Grimoire obviously helps it get its strength. So, and then I only had 1 click left, so I took another credit and turned it back over to him. So he kicks off his turn, and he installs a card into his first remote, the remote protected by an ice. So there has been a remote sitting out there completely unprotected this whole time. Against Jinteki, of course, it's very hard to know what to go and hit against. And I've seen players play. I once played Jinteki, and I would put 5 unprotected servers out, and obviously some are real and some are just traps. And the runner hit everything. He didn't care at all, and it does make you think, like, is there a point in caring if you have enough cards in your deck and you have clicks left to remove tags? What real damage can be done to you? So I do struggle. I kind of want to be a little more aggressive against Jinteki, but the idea of losing cards, it scares me so much. But I think you have to get over that. You have to say, you know, every card in your hand is useful in some way, and situationally they're different values. So you've got to be ready to get rid of them. So meanwhile, though, I took a credit, and again, to avoid discarding cards, I put out my 2 data suckers, which immediately get some viruses on them. And, you know, they're cheapy, and it's good to start building them up. I figure I'm going to be going into Essential soon. He advanced his card once in his remote. So, you know, obviously I've got to be worried about it, but it could still be a trap. And so actually what he went ahead and did with his next turn, and that was part of why I put the data suckers out, is because they had viruses on them. And I figured, that loads me up with a lot of viruses. Plus, his Draco would have probably died that turn. So he just virus scanned me and got rid of the data sucker tokens and the parasite. So it's back to beginning for the parasite. So that delayed him a turn, delayed him from advancing that agenda if that was what he wanted to do. So I picked up a modded, and this I do not believe was in the original Edinburgh deck. I think I added that in later. So I did tweak this deck a bit, and I used the modded because I figured the deck needed some economy help. So I used the modded to put out the medium. So the medium came out for free. Again, signaling intentions here that R&D is going to be a focus for me this game. With the advent of the nerve virus now, obviously you can make your game be about threatening HQ more. Less fun to do against Jinteki, who also might be holding a lot of snares. But still, it's a good way to also show you can pressure both central servers even more. So he puts out another remote, and he's going to go ahead and ice up R&D, knowing that Draco is probably not long-lived unless he has to keep burning turns to scan. To virus scan. So he puts out a second ice there, and he has one click left. What's he going to do? So he advances his first server again. So I am definitely feeling, that creep up. I mean, it could be again a bait on something like, I forget the cards, but I know that there are cards that the more advancement tokens on them, the more damage they do. So I've got 2 forged activation orders, and I love that card so much because it's just a great money drain, and it's a great way to force a corp to res some ice he doesn't want to lose, that you don't actually care about right now. It's just a way to get money out of his hand to stop him from resing on the actual server you care about. And it's kind of a lose-lose for him, because if he can res and it's not doing him much good. So for instance, I'm not really that interested in his HQ, although I realize he could be holding agendas, but I don't really care about the HQ as much. But I'm going to force him to res it if he doesn't want to lose it, and it was a Data Raven, which is a very strong card, so he didn't want to lose it. So now that's drained him of some credits. And then I go ahead and push on his remote, and actually I wasn't too sure what I wanted to have in the remote. My thought was I would just use it to be able to, push in elsewhere. But he had to trash it. He didn't have the coins, it looks like. So that opened up his remote entirely. And I felt good about that's probably an agenda then. Because it was probably a strong piece of ice that he wasn't able to do. I mean, obviously it could have been a bluff. It could have been, I'm just going to remove it. Come on in. But no, it was a real one, so it was Private Security Force, so I get another 2 points, and I'll have to take a damage. I lose my Grimoire, the best card I could have lost out of my hand right now, my duplicate Grimoire. So another great turn for me, and I'm feeling good, feeling strong, and I feel like I've made good decisions up until this point. There were obviously different ways I could have gone, and in no way is the core playing badly. It's just that pressure of Anarch not really knowing where he's going to go. So Corp reses the pad that he had up in his third server. HMZ, I think he's in some way just apologizing that he didn't res this before he drew his card. I thought, what's funny is I saw a patch note from DBO that there was the ability to set it so that it asks you, do you want to auto-res appropriate cards at the beginning of your turn? And I haven't seen, as a corp, that prompt. I assume that it would prompt you to say, you have unresed campaigns, or whatever they're called. Do you want to do that before you draw? But I don't know. Maybe it hasn't been implemented yet. It might be a coming patch. So I'm just saying that's fine. Obviously, I think once you've done it once, you need to stop. I don't know, once or twice a game. Whoops. But you obviously have been given some information by drawing that card. Which can be valuable information before you decide, do I want to spend the money to res one of my campaigns? And because you always take a net loss on that first turn that you res, so it can be something of note. So he just uses his 3 clicks to take more credits, and I kick off my go. Draco got trashed because the parasite has hit his strength level, so R&D is now back to 1 ice. I've managed to draw up into a hedge fund, but I've got no credits. I've been so starved of money the whole game, and I finally found my first Crypsis, which is obviously, that's the only icebreaker in this deck, and it's basically the the icebreaker to get you through. You've hopefully weakened ice from data suckers, from worms, and Crypsis just helps you push that a little bit further through. I know I'm very sad having not got any of my imps out. Imp's such a strong card, and certainly if you're hitting R&D a lot, you want to be able to keep trashing through it. Gets you just access to more R&D cards. He actually took a look at his archives, but I was honestly planning to run archives. I was sitting there thinking about how am I going to do this. Do I want to? He's only got 6 credits. He might have strong ice in front of it. So, and at the very least, like I've got a lot of cards. Go hit the archives, and if he reses something, it'll probably end the run. But actually, what I didn't anticipate was Draco. So I'd say that's definitely my first sort of maybe. Yeah, less smart play. I had no money whatsoever, so obviously, and you can see I'm saying uh-oh because I'm going to have to take the tag, and that means, although it did give him a tough decision in terms of how much strength does he give the Draco, because it will be susceptible to parasites if it's weak, but he needs enough money to run some kind of trace and pressure me. Well, that's not true. I had no credits, so there wasn't a lot of decision making there. So the run ends. I gain a tag, and I do not have the credits I need. So I have to make the decision now. I'm going to have a tag this turn. So worst that can happen is he can. Well, I mean, obviously he could have he could have a Scorched Earth splashed in, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can't gain enough credits to remove the tag this turn, so I'm just going to have to. So I could try to net up the credits, but instead I decide, screw it. He's weak on credits. I'm going to go into the R&D. So I do that. I go into the R&D where I actually do get 2 cards because my medium was already buffed up 1. So I decided I'm just going to do that the next 2 clicks, and I did go in and I saw just a piece of ice there. And so, I got myself access to, 3 free cards. So Trick of Light, Itchy, and now my next new card that I'm going to see, and a Sensei. So, I don't get the agenda, but, I got to see 3 cards for free, and just have to, hold a tag for at least the next turn. So, I thought that was a right decision. So I dump a Data Sucker, which, you hate to do, because it's great to be able to build up that many, but I have a lot of viruses built up now. So he could dump my wild side, and frankly, please do, because I have been drowning a bit in cards now. I've got a little bit more of a rig up, so I'm not. I really don't want more cards. I've got the hedge fund already. I've got Crypsis. I just don't want more cards at this point. I will happily draw a single card for a click. So. So and especially when you've got Crypsis, where you need those clicks to put counters on it. Actually, I don't want to lose that click every turn. So he is probably thinking the same and is not going to trash my wild side. And you can say I was saying I wish I had that. I've got 2 imps in my hand, and I had 2 runs on R&D there, so I would have loved to do that. So he's starting up his turn, and is deciding what next. He's only got 4 credits. So we will see. And I know that there's only there's just basically 3 ice on top of his. Well, there's the Trick of Light, and then 3 ice and 2 more ice on top of his deck. So at least I know that if I don't see any more servers come out on the table, he's not drawing up agendas anyway. So he takes 3 credits for his entire turn, and then sends it back to me. So I'm probably missing. I mean, the real tough thing, I've got no credits and a tag on me. Finally see that pawn shop that I've been wanting, and another Parasite, which I'd love to put out as soon as possible. Just start pressuring those ice again. I get to mill more of his cards. I haven't actually looked. I need to look at his deck at some point and just see, how many cards are actually face down in his discard at this point. So I do go ahead and throw the Parasite out, and again keep the tag for another turn. I can't do anything if he's got something like a Scorched Earth, or he's sitting on 2 of those. But otherwise, I'm not that much in danger. I've got, all I've got is the resource, and as I've seen the recent game, which I've still not been able to cast, but having a lot of tags on you actually doesn't necessarily have to be the worst thing ever. especially actually if you throw in something like a Carapace, which is, negates an entire Scorched Earth. So if you are splashing those into your decks, you can also really protect yourself against against that sort of double Scorched Earth hit. So, ooh, I like this music. Okay, so he does Virus Scan, and that hurts. There's a lot of tokens lost. I had the ability to see 3 cards out of R&D every turn, or 4 rather. I had my, I could have taken off 4 strength off of Ice with my Data Suckers, and my Parasite was reduced back to 0. So yeah, definitely the time to Virus Scan me there. So I've drawn up again to another hedge fund and another liberated account, and I'm sitting on 0 credits. I really want to get. Instead I just take 3 credits and figure I've got cards to discard. So I dump the liberated account. I decide I'm not going to see a good opportunity to use that, and I'm not sure if that was right. I don't know. For some reason the hedge fund felt better. Just take the 4 credits for 1 click rather than deal with liberateds. Netting 10 in 4 clicks. So I dump that liberated, and I dump another imp. So both of my imps got dumped this game, and it's sad. I do love the imp. It's obviously a great combo to have with the pawn shop, because the imp loses its value as soon as it's drained of viruses. So whether he virus scans me or whether I actually get to use some of the credits on it, I've just then got back 3 credits off of it. So the imps themselves are an economy in this deck, so to not be able to lose them. So he just goes ahead and trashes that Draco in front of Archives, I think before the Parasite got to strength, because he knew it was dead next turn anyway, and puts another card out in front of Archives instead. He looked in his Archives the once. Frankly, I think the Archives are up to at least 8 cards at this point, so it doesn't... it just seems a very high likelihood there's at least one agenda in there. So those Archives are going to be important to protect. He puts out a server again in his first remote, unprotected. So I pick up my Cyber Feeder, the sort of things you want to see early, and my 3rd liberated account. I grab 2 more credits, and now I'm up to hedge fund range. Or Shore Gamble, sorry, with the runners. And so I use the Shore Gamble and dump my final liberated account. So I gave up on those this game. And I feel like almost if I do run this deck again, I'll probably give up on them entirely and go with some other easy economy, especially with newer cards. I feel like there's probably a better option there. We'll see. And so I'm up to 9 credits, the richest I've been this entire game. Which obviously I need that money up for Crypsis. I want Crypsis out. I have a Stim Hack, so Stim Hack is obviously the other economy in this game. So once you've got the Crypsis out, and that's of course why not having a personal workshop seems very silly. That actually might be what I'd put in the personal workshops and dump the Liberateds, because obviously putting something like a Crypsis on your workshop, then Stim Hacking and paying for the Crypsis for free. Is a good idea, and obviously if you have Grimoire, then the Crypsis will get a token on it right away as well, so it'll even be usable against a single ice server. All these combos working together there. So up I go again. I've still been tagged this whole time, but not a whole lot to do to me. So I use my 2nd Shore Gamble. I pop out my pawn shop, and I finally remove that tag. Because at that point, I'm sure I didn't want the pawn shop to be vulnerable to that tag. I'm thinking he would have dumped it. It's well worth it to him, given that pawn shop makes me back 3 credits the first time I use it, and it's very likely I'm going to use it on Wildside. So he's popping off a Precognition, so he gets to look at the next 5 cards on top of his deck. So it's at this point I'm thinking... he's probably going to put his agendas pretty low in the deck. He doesn't have a great way of putting them out. There's not a lot of protection on his remotes at this point. So it means the deck is less exciting to run. That's all I was thinking at that point. I don't know if that's the right assumption to make. So but yeah, my plan at that point became more, well, obviously archives is the first necessity. Get out another virus if you can. I mean, at this point I only have Crypsis. I did pick up a Deja Vu, which would let me take 2 viruses back out. Awesome to do when it's things like, grab 2 more parasites. So you could even Deja Vu, grab 2 parasites, and then put both out in a turn. Which wouldn't be too bad. So he precogged, and then I think he put the hedge fund on top, drew it, and then played it out. So he's up to 17 credits. So in I go. I actually drew quickly. I'm not sure if I had thought I was going to get rid of Wildside prior to drawing the 2 cards. It has been ruled on the FAQ that you can do it either order, since they're both once per turn abilities. You choose the order in which they occur, and then if you do it. A lot of dings going off. I don't believe that's coming. It might be coming from actually this thing. I'm gonna mute that. The playback video I'm doing here. But anyway, so I got rid of Wildside, so I'm not doing too bad. I got 11 credits in money, and then I'm thinking. You see, I'm sitting on Deja Vu. I'm thinking, do I want to pull out things like parasites? And obviously mill the deck even harder before I run that archives. But I've got too many cards in my hand. I've just picked up another Stim Hack. And this is where I'm kind of transitioning my thought process in the game. Okay, am I going to want to just do hardcore Stim Hack runs, with Crypsis, instead of more like just milling? And again, this is another feeling of mistake I'm making. Does it matter? Do I need to transition? Or should I just keep working the mill strategy? Because there's more. I can pull out more viruses. I can keep virusing, and then just try to win it that way. I'm in no rush. He's 0 points right now. 0 points. Feels like my best bet is to just keep taking free cards off R&D and then just keep that pressure on the archives. So my third click, I run archives again. Not sure if I was thinking that through well. That was my last click. It could have been a taggy card. It was just a little enigma, and I had the 1 token on Crypsis, so definitely runnable. So I run the code gate. I don't even have to break one of the subroutines because it's lose a click, and I don't have a click left to lose, and so I'm in. So he says in, so I look in. I'm hoping to see 2 agendas at this point. Maybe not the full game, but just 2 agendas. But and I find a fetal, so I'm gonna have to pay 2 credits to get at that. Another thing I didn't actually consider, incidentally, I wasn't looking at my credits, but say there had been 2 fetals in there. If I wanted to score them, I'd need all 4 credits, but I did actually have them. So I think I must have taken 2 net damage because I scored an agenda and I'd taken net damage from the fetal. So I lost one of my Stim Hacks. And so I only got the 1, so I'm looking in his archives now, his face up pile, just to see the things he lost. And you can see, he lost a pad, he lost another Trick of Light, there was one of the June bugs. Not a lot of information there, really. A few of the ice. I couldn't gather much from that whole thing. So would have obviously liked to lose that Grimoire from the net damage and not the Stim Hack. So he just installed another card, I think, on his HQ. Although, if he did I'm not quite sure what he did. I feel like he installed another piece of ice, but he didn't pay the credit to do that. But nonetheless, don't think it matters. So check out there. I wanted more money quickly. I pawned off my medium. Which again came from. So here's where I am on this one. I am, for some reason, feeling like, holy crap! I've got 6 points. I want to win the game. He's got to have agendas in his hand. He can't feel that good about. He's been drawing cards constantly, and he hasn't put anything out in the remotes for a while. At this point in the game, you feel like there's probably agendas in his hand. And so here I am with. I've got a Stim Hack. I've got a Crypsis. I can beat what's ever protecting his HQ. I would have thought from a single Stim Hack. So I'm really, I dumped medium because I wanted the money up, and and I just figured, it's kind of crazy, right? And I just figured, medium keeps getting virus scanned. He seems a patient player, so I don't know. So I forge activate his R&D again, just to drain him of money. But he's got 13 credits, so what's really gonna? I don't know. I guess you've got it. It's a credit. It seems to be worth to do. But I was doing it because I just figured I'm not really gonna be running R&D again. So I throw up another token on Crypsis, and then take a credit. And, obviously, so what I was thinking is I want to put 2 tokens on Crypsis and run HQ, where I'd be able to beat them. But it seems really dumb to ever go into a turn with 2 tokens on Crypsis, because if you do that, the corpse should just virus scan. Because other than the corp running out of time, which he's not in any danger of doing, it seems like, if you just go into the next turn with 2 Crypsis, it's saying, I'm going to be running a 2-eye server, and he can just virus scan, and you can keep going in circles like that. Although I guess in the end you're netting 2 clicks on him. I don't know. Either way, it just seems like going to another turn with 2 tokens on Crypsis is likely to get virus scanned. So he just I think just took a bit of money. Yeah, because he went from 13 to 16, so he definitely wanted his money. And so I throw up 1 more token on Crypsis, and I'm thinking, and I do that because I'm like, I've got to make a run. I draw a medium. It's like the game's trying to tell me, no, work on R&D. Why are you going after HQ? So I'm going into HQ, and so I've essentially got 14 credits to run this server. I know that the Data Raven in front, but now, of course, the Data Raven, I know it's going to give me a tag, but I've got to click left, so I'll be able to dump that tag. And what do I res into? Another Data Raven. So the decision there is definitely, I am actually not going to be able to beat both tags this turn if I keep going. But little impatient me is like, screw it, I stim hacked. What did I stim hack for then? And I decide to keep going. So he's asking whether or not I was actually thinking. But so I decide to keep going. So I give myself a tag and run the Crypsis. So it costs 5 credits basically to break through. So obviously that all comes off the stim hack, and actually 1 off the cyber feeder as well. And then I go back into the next Data Raven, and so all in now. So take another tag and spend another 5 credits. That's fine. I haven't even spent any of my own money, and I figure, I could get snared and I'd survive. So he says good luck, and in I go. And I'm going in with tags, so in I go, and I look at the card, and what do I find? Executive Retreat, 3 agenda points. I win the game at maximum points, 9-0. And he gets quite upset, not upset, but he's like, what the fuck? Because you can see the 4 cards in his hand. He had a snare, he had 2 neural EMPs, and he had a Scorched Earth. So, truly, right there was a 1 in 5 chance I would win the game, 4 in 5 chance I lose that turn. The next turn. So, I won, and the score reflects that I won in the most powerful way possible. But brains would tell you that I did the dumbest move I could have done. That was actually basically like in poker, when you call knowing that you probably only have a 10 to 20% chance to win big, but you still only have a 10 to 20% chance. That's your only outs, and yet you're still calling into it like a dumbass. So I did that. So I am doing this to warn folks very clearly of what not to do. You can see him saying, wasn't sure what to do next, and he was like, you should have just I reset the video. Well, he was just telling me, you know what you should have done? You should have just kind of kept milling me, because you had time. So there you go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed seeing unjust victories. It should make you feel good about how life works. And that's it. So thanks a lot. Please subscribe or like this video, or both, if you're enjoying them. It gives me the encouragement to keep doing it. I have also couple of tournament games that I was able to spectate on, and they really were awesome games. I can't wait to post them, but I have to wait until one of the players is knocked out, or both of the players involved in the game are knocked out, and so they will be coming as soon as I can post them. This tournament running on Board Game Geek, 150 participants. It's kind of world, it's Europe versus North America, and then the top competitors of each of those tournaments are now playing for a world championship. So, and it's down to the semi-finals right now, which is pretty cool. So you've got to imagine really top caliber players there. So that's it from me. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.